Welcome back to another Porsche Car Whisperer video. If this is your first time checking out my channel, my name is Mason Gilchrist and I cover everything Porsche. And as you can see from behind me, we have two different Taycans. We're going to be talking about what are some of the biggest differences that you can see between the previous generation Taycan and the new 2025 Taycan. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. So in this video, it's going to be a pretty high-level explanation of what are some of the biggest differences we can find between both generation Taycans. In later videos, I'm going to be talking about what are some of the small nuances that make for a big change between both cars, but again, that's going to be for a later date. And before we get into it, if you guys haven't had a chance to check out my monthly newsletter, it's completely free. You can sign up for it or you don't have to, but the link will be down below. Just like to share my Porsche passion and another way for me to stay connected with you guys. So we have this Carmine Red 2024 Taycan, and we got the 2025 Shade Green Metallic Taycan. We're going to start here on the exterior of the cars, then we're going to talk about some of the performance figures, and then I'm going to show you guys small differences on the interior. So here to start on the front, Porsche has changed the front bumper of the new Taycan, has a little bit more aggressive cuts that you won't see here on the previous generation. Now, small caveat, this red Taycan has the sport design package, so you can see the teardrops are a little bit more aggressive than the standard bumper. As you can see here on the new car, it no longer attaches to those front headlights. It's just a nice little cut a little bit below the front headlight. Now, that brings me to another point. We've got a pretty big change here for the front headlights. Previously, they kind of curved around inside those front fenders. Now, for the newest generation, they're completely flat. And as of standard, we've got LED matrix headlights, where that used to be an option, and now, of course, is standard. Now, as we come to the front hood, virtually unchanged with the exception of one thing, and that is the addition of the new Porsche crest. I think it looks really, really nice and classy. Porsche launched this with the introduction of the new Panamera, Cayenne. Now, of course, it's coming here to the Taycan. Now, it's hard to tell from looking at the front of both of these cars, but the front fenders are also going to be changed. Previously, they were nice, rounded, and smooth. As part of the new generation, they have a little cut there towards the top, makes for a nice aggressive look and feel. So that's going to be the biggest difference. You won't see that as much just from looking at the front of the cars, but you'll notice more when you get behind the wheel, as of course, that's one of the best spots to be in a Porsche. So now let's go ahead and hop to the side, show you guys some small differences, and then we'll hop inside. So as we come here to the side of the new Taycan, it's going to virtually look unchanged over the previous generation. But let me point out a couple key things that we will notice. One of the things is now, as standard, we have the power charge port door. Previously, that was an option on the Taycan 4S, as well as the GTS. And again, now that's a nice new standard offering. For those of you who are familiar with the Taycan, you're going to notice that the wheels are going to be changed as well. These are the Mission wheels, but Porsche has updated them, made them a little bit more aerodynamic, and then also added quite a few new wheel designs as well that we previously did not have. And to be honest, I believe it's some very, very nice new additions to the wheel lineup. Now, you're going to notice this is also a color we haven't seen in the past. This color is a new color offering called Shade Green Metallic, but there's also some other colors as well. We've got Oak Green Metallic, we've got Provence, Pale Blue Metallic, and one of my favorites is Slate Gray Neo. It's an upgraded version of the original Slate Gray. When Porsche now upgrades a color or enhances it for the newest gen, they call it a Neo, very similar to Ruby Star Neo. Now, as we come to the suspension, that's where we're going to notice the biggest difference from generation to generation. Previously, on the rear-wheel drive, you had to option adaptive air suspension, the ability to raise and lower the car. As an option, now it's going to be standard here on the model year 2025, and they've also enhanced the way that the chambers work on the inside of that air suspension. Previously, it was a 3-chamber, 1-valve system. Now they're using a 2-chamber, 2-valve system. Makes the car more compliant, even makes it a little bit more precise when you're making those nice tight corners. So Porsche has done a really good job of now adding a new standard option and also enhancing the previous generation. Now, behind those wheels, you're going to notice the brakes virtually going to be unchanged over the previous. We've got 6 piston in the front, 4 piston in the rear, 360 millimeters in diameter, and 358 in the rear. This is for this Taycan 4S as well as the rear wheel drive variant. Now this particular car has the option of high gloss brake calipers as standard. They're going to be an anodized color for the rear wheel drive, and for the 4S they're going to be in the classic Porsche red. Now something else that's going to be a new offering, it is an option, is we have the ability to have soft closed doors now here on this new generation Taycan. Previously that was not an offering, so that's a really, really nice addition for just over $700. Now let's go ahead and hop to the back, talk about a key change that you can find in the rear of the vehicle, then we'll talk a little bit about some of the performance statistics. So here from the rear of the new Taycan, it's virtually going to be unchanged. Same rear bumper, same rear valance. However, one big addition now has come to the Taycan. Previously we had this nice light strip here in the rear, but now people used to ask, why doesn't that Porsche logo light up in the rear? Well, now that is an option, so at night you can see it. It just says Porsche as you're driving, which I think looks awesome and is also very, very aggressive. Now, while we're here in the back, let's talk about the new rear motor, and Porsche has actually made it smaller, more compact, and now it offers more power. So that is going to help us achieve faster 0 to 60 times. And in terms of 0 to 60 here on the rear wheel drive variant, with the Performance Battery Plus, we're looking at about 4.5 seconds, opposed to the previous generation being 5.1. Now there on the Taycan 4S, it's going to go from 3.8 to 3.5. And let me tell you firsthand from driving the rear wheel drive Taycan, you can tell a pretty substantial difference in that 0 to 60 time, even though it's just over a half a second. So Porsche did an amazing job there. Now on the floor of the car, we have a pretty big new addition as well, and that's the addition of a new performance battery and the Performance Battery Plus. Porsche has increased the overall size of the battery. So previously, the smaller battery was 79 kilowatts. Now we've gone up to about 85 kilowatts. And on the Performance Battery Plus, it was 93.4. Now Porsche's made it all the way to 105 kilowatts. Now what does that get us? That gets us better range, and of course, a faster car with more performance. And it's also a lighter battery as well. So Porsche has done some pretty amazing upgrades to the technology in terms of the battery. There's also something called bank charging, which we're not going to talk about today, but we will talk about in later video segments. So how does that get us in terms of range? On the rear wheel drive with Performance Battery Plus, Porsche has increased it. Now it's saying about 318 miles on a full charge. Now that is pretty impressive. Porsche always likes to be pretty conservative on their numbers, so I've seen people even getting quite a bit more than that, but I'll put the full range of new ranges here on the screen so you guys can check that out across all of the different variants. Now that's some of the biggest changes we're going to find to the performance as well as the outside. Let's go ahead and hop behind the inside, show you guys some minor differences between the two cars. Now from the inside of the new Taycan, you're going to look at it and you're going to say, you know what, it virtually looks unchanged, which is for the most part true. Porsche has added a couple new options here on the inside. Now we've got the drive mode switch right here on the steering wheel. That's now going to be standard. Previously, to get the drive mode switch here, you had to get something that was called Sports Chrono Package, which added a clock up there on the dash, and you only had the sport mode here if you did not have the Sports Chrono Package. And of course, we've got the new updated Porsche Crest. Some very small things you're going to notice is they've changed the font a little bit here, more in the center, and it's also a lot more responsive there on the instrument cluster when you toggle through, and you can take a look at all the different menus. So Porsche has enhanced how fast it is. You can also see different assistant menus, which we can see and has been transitioned over from the Panamera. But as we just go through here, it's a lot more speedier than it was previously. And then if we want to also set up different charging profiles, the way you can change it is quite a bit different too. If you want to set your target rate of charge, you can do it there either in the center console or here in the center screen by just rotating it up. So again, very small changes, but just more new and improved. In terms of the inside, we've also got a passenger display that's going to be an optional one, and now passengers can watch things like Amazon, Netflix. Of course, you have to have a streaming service, which I'll talk about these on later videos, but that's the ability to watch while you're driving, because now there is a privacy glass that's going to be on that passenger display. But other than that, that's virtually going to be the biggest changes that we're going to see when you're on the inside of the car opposed to the previous generation. Now, there is some new standard equipment I would like to highlight as well. So far we have covered quite a few of the new standard equipment here on the 2025 Porsche Taycan. But let's cover the full gamut of all the options that are now going to be standard. So for the rear-wheel drive Taycan, we have the adaptive air suspension, including PASM, that is standard. We have the ambient lighting on the interior. The door sill guards are now going to be in aluminum opposed to the previous plastic that we had on that rear-wheel drive Taycan. The steering wheel is going to be heated on both the Taycan as well as the Taycan 4S. And now when it comes to the Taycan Turbo and Turbo S, the Sports Chrono package is going to be standard. The B-pillar trim lower section is going to be in Race Tex. Then we have the turbo differentiation with features in Turbonite, including the badging. Now for all the cars, we're going to have lane change assist as standard, which is going to help, of course, when you're making those lane changes. There's going to be those 3 little dots there in the side mirror that will light up orange when somebody is in your blind spot. We have electric charging cover on driver and passenger side. Previously, that was an option. The onboard 150 kilowatt 400 volt DC charger, which is going to help as soon as you can charge at those Tesla charging stations, as those are based off the 400 volt architecture. The cooled smartphone compartment, including wireless charging up to 15 watts. The drive mode switch is now going to also be standard, where previously to get the drive mode switch, you would have to get the Sports Chrono package to get the mode switch on the steering wheel. Previously, the Sport button was just going to be as part of that center display if you wanted to change the drive modes, or of course you could do it through the PCM. Electrically folding exterior mirrors, including mirror courtesy lighting. The Porsche Intelligent Range Manager, or the PIRM, which is going to help when you're going on those longer road trips to possibly shorten them with the less amount of stops that would take to get to your destination. And then we have the locking wheel bolts. So as you can see, Porsche has greatly increased its overall standard equipment over the previous generation. So that pretty much wraps up some of the biggest changes we're going to find from the previous generation Taycan to the 2025 Taycan. Again, the biggest thing is going to virtually be the speed as well as the overall range. I know a lot of people didn't think that the mid 200s was enough on the previous generation. Now Porsche is getting over 300 on the rear-wheel drive variant with the Performance Battery Plus, and I have a feeling that's pretty substantially understated. So again, in later videos, check them out, because we're going to be talking about some of the new technology upgrades from generation to generation. And of course, if you guys have any questions, I'll try my best to get to you. Leave them down in the comments below. We'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.